It is rare in my experience to meet someone whose talent combined with their passion and sensitivity for their music is such that it really becomes a life-changing experience. And that may sound like an overstatement, but I think as you have the opportunity to learn more about our guest today, you may reach a point where you agree, or at least will want to find out enough more about her to see if you can agree with that statement. So put on the brakes, grab a cup of coffee, and join the conversation because it's time for Coffee Breaks with Steve. Well, welcome to Coffee Breaks with Steve. My name is Steve, and this is the show where we come together around our virtual coffee table each week and join the conversation to chat about interesting topics with amazing guests. If you're joining us for the first time today, welcome. And if you've been with us before, welcome back. I'm going to take a quick look and see who is here. And I see Rick is saying good morning. Good morning to you, Rick. And if you are here, please do let us know. Say hello in the chat so that we can know that you're joining the conversation, and particularly when we do get, thank you, Rick, everybody drink. When we do get to our guest conversation, please do engage in the chat with our guest. She is hopefully going to make an effort to make an effort. It makes it sound like it's some chore. I know that our guest is going to try to join us in the chat today. She is joining from overseas. That in and of itself can be an issue, and we will see how that goes. But anyway, I'm glad you're here, and do say hello and let us know how you were doing and how are you doing today. I'd like to hear from anybody who's on here and know what's going on in your neighborhood. Last night was Halloween. Curious, we talked about Halloween last week on the show, but I'm curious about how everybody's Halloween went. Did you have trick-or-treaters? Did you yourself dress up? Saw a lot of pictures on the internet yesterday on social media with people posting their own photos of themselves or family members in their costumes. And so I hope we actually, it was supposed to rain here in Spokane, and we ended up not having rain in the evening. Not that I saw anyway. However, this has not been unusual for us. We had no trick-or-treaters. We had nobody come by the house. We deliberately bought some treats to hand out, but we bought a small number because we've known from previous years that if we get anybody at all, it's a very small number of trick-or-treaters. And we got snacks that we ourselves knew we would not eat, so that we're not going to get the sugar rush from downing a bunch of candy. And what we have will hold and can be used in a couple of months as stocking stuffers for when our grandkids are here. Yeah, no trick-or-treaters at your house. And I know it's going to be at best iffy for you guys, Rick, where you're at, depending on who's visiting and who's at the neighbor's house. But anyway, yeah, I'd like to hear from you how that's going. Today is November 1st, and curious about what you're thinking now. We are in the month, obviously, the very beginning of the month, where the United States Thanksgiving takes place at the end of this month. And from my perspective, once we get to November, we're kind of steamrolling into the holiday season. Like, this is, in reality, we're in the holidays. So technically, for me, it's kind of like Halloween, however you happen to view Halloween as an event or a holiday or whatever else, is kind of the threshold. And you cross that into November, and you're going to see it, if you're not already seeing it in the stores, you're going to see it on TV and commercials. It's going to be everywhere. So I'm just checking something real quick here. That's unfortunate. Well, yeah. So unfortunately, our guest today, I'm getting messages from her. She was trying to connect from Europe, and we resent the link so that she could get in here, and it's saying that it's been deleted, which hopefully is not the case. I see that some of you are in here, and I know that we're getting a chat on our Facebook channel, and it's broadcasting there. So sorry, Joanna. She's gonna, I think, try to come in and join us from the YouTube side, and she won't be able to engage in directly in the chat there, but at the very least, she'll be able to see what's going on. Maybe we'll screen show some of the chat so that she can follow along. Anyway, I'm going to try something else here that's a new option for us. And we're the platform that we use, this is an aside, but the StreamYard platform that we use is something that we picked originally because it does coordinate well with Facebook most of the time, apparently, and will also let us go to other platforms like YouTube, which we use. And they have recently been adding a lot of new features that we're testing out on here, and some of them work better than others. You may recall a few months back, we were having some issues with our video conversations with our guests, our pre-recorded videos. When we would go to start that, nothing would happen, and we couldn't get it to work. And we think that was associated with a beta test of something that StreamYard was trying, and has now hopefully been connected. We have not run into that issue since then, but we're continuing to monitor and make sure that things that we need to work will work. Hey, listen, I do want to get to our conversation with Joanna here very shortly. So let me talk just for a few minutes about our sweet and savory, as Shalane would call it if she was here, the charcuterie. But there were a couple of things. The biggest, I think the biggie this week for those of us, again, in the United States, if you're in Europe or you're in another country, there are still time changes typically. And I think for much of Europe, excuse me, the time changes, going back to what we refer to as standard time here, getting away from the daylight savings time of summer, already happened in much of Europe and the countries that do recognize that. Here in the United States, it's tonight. And it's really interesting because I think about growing up, and even as a young adult, you'd literally have to go around to all of the clocks in your house and one by one reset them, set them back. And now the reality is that most of my clocks are connected to the internet in one way or another, right? My computer, my phone, and so many of the things that we use and that we track time by are connected to the internet. And overnight tonight, they'll automatically go back an hour at the appropriate time. I have a handful of clocks, wall clocks, or a couple of others, a clock in my car that do not automatically reset for daylight savings time or standard time. And so I will have to take some time before I go to bed tonight to walk around and catch a few clocks in the house. I'm wondering, how does that work for you? When you switch back, do you either in the springing ahead or falling back, do you have to do a lot of manual resetting, or do you rely on the internet to reset clocks in your home? Curious about it. I see that we have a couple more people who've joined. College Slammer, I'm not sure who that is, but if you want to share your name in the chat, you may do so. That's up to you. And welcome. And Carla's here. You're here. That's good to know. One of the things we're going to try to do today, because we think that Joanna may be joining us from the YouTube side, is, in fact, I'm going to do a couple of things right now, hopefully, to see if we can kind of track with her. I'm going to see if I can also, okay, she's here, and I am seeing her comments. She is here via, I think, YouTube, right, Joanna? So we will share your comments. I will try to share what people are saying in the chat on this side so that you can see them as well, and then respond to them, and we'll share this is, it gets complex sometimes, but we can deal with it. Anyway, in the United States, we're setting the clocks back. How does that working? Going back 1 hour is a pain in the caboose. 9 clocks to change, Jerry says. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it is a bit of a pain. The other thing, if you joined us a few weeks ago, you may remember that Jeff Feen was here, former firefighter, and we talked at the beginning, it's about a month ago, we talked about October being Fire Safety Awareness Month in the United States. And Jeff talked to us about a variety of things. And one of those was that at the times, those 2 times a year when you change your clocks, is a good reminder to check your smoke detectors. So get up there, check those if you want to, and it makes sense to do so. Just go ahead and change the batteries. I know that's also a pain in the caboose, right? Got to get up on ladders in most cases to get to those smoke detectors, but it's essential. So just a reminder that you want to take a look at the smoke detectors and the other safety features in your home and make sure that everything is a good time of the year just to do that, especially as we are getting into the holiday season. And there are going to be people in the couple months coming up, setting up Christmas trees that themselves, if you're using natural cut down tree, can be a fire danger. If you're lighting candles, if you're doing other things like that. I need coffee. Did you hear me not be able to get through words there? Rick, help us out. Thank you. All right. Listen. Oh, and Kathy couldn't get on the chat on her phone. So our guest, Kathy, Joanna, is having trouble getting on the Facebook in general. Hopefully we're not having problems with that. I see most of you are here. But do remember, while the chat primarily takes place on Facebook, we do simulcast onto YouTube. We encourage people on the live chat to be here because that's where the chat's taking place. Carla says, always takes me weeks to adjust to the time change. It's almost like a jet lag situation for some people to have to change the clocks because we're readjusting. The biological clock goes, what are you doing? Right. But anyway, we want to make sure that we're prepared for that tonight and that we are taking advantage of the opportunity to do some safety checks around our home while we're doing that. A couple of birthdays. Joel Herman, good friend, has been a guest on this show a couple of times, ultra marathon and distance runner, celebrating a birthday tomorrow and still doing running. I'm tracking him on social media online. This guy is still doing marathons and distance runs, and we're probably going to have Joel back here at some point in the not too distant future, talk about some of the things he's got coming up and some of the things he's doing. The guy is a marvel just by what he does. And then Kathy LeGros, who's an author. She was on here, it's been a few years ago now, but a book that she wrote about her grandmother. And it's a biographical novel, really. It's a book that is amazing. And I'd love to have Kathy back on here at some point as well. She's also just an avid reader and a book aficionado. So we need to have her back on here at some point. But happy birthday to Kathy LeGros this week. Do you have a special day this week? You can let us know that in the chat. If you have a special day coming up, an update or news or any item of interest for our sweet and savory segment that you'd like to share, you can let us know about that. If there's something special you think we should know about this week, or you have a special day, put it in the chat. It could be a birthday, it could be an anniversary, it could be something else special that you or a loved one are celebrating and you would like us to celebrate with you. If you got something coming up in the future, and you would like us to get it on our list, get it on our calendar so that we can celebrate with you, you can send us an email to cbwsteve@comcast.net, and we will make sure that we do track that with you. All right, listen, I want to tell you a little bit about our guest, and I want to just share some things that why I wanted to have her on here. A couple of months ago, Carol and I were on a trip to Europe, a tour in parts of Europe. And while we were in Warsaw, Poland, one of the excursions that our tour group set up was to go hear a Chopin recital, piano recital. And I'm a fan for classical music. I'm a fan for Chopin. And if you've ever listened to people who are playing Chopin, Chopin is among, I'm not a pianist, so I'm saying this from the standpoint of a layperson, is among the more difficult composers to play and to play effectively. And we had an opportunity to listen to an artist who, in a fairly small room for this recital, that blew my mind. I was just entranced. I was hypnotized by the sound of the music and her passion in presenting it. And so I took the trouble to get in touch with her after we got back from that trip. And she was kind enough to say yes, that she would join us on the show. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Joanna Sochacka is a concert pianist and a Steinway artist who's been praised by critics as a woman on a mission, with playing described as powerful, hypnotic, and full of passion. She has performed across more than a dozen countries and recorded critically acclaimed albums featuring works by Polish composers such as Frederick Chopin and Grażyna Batsevich. I'm not Polish. I struggle with the pronunciation. Excuse me with that, but I'll do my best. Grażyna Batsevich, both earning top honors from Gramophone and Pianist magazines. A prize winner of numerous international competitions, Joanna also serves as president of the Agitado Music Foundation, I hope I pronounced that correctly, and teaches at the Batsevich University of Music in Łódź, Poland. Born in Poland and now based in Germany, she continues to share her artistry with audiences and students around the world. And as you're going to hear, not only is she a performing artist, but Joanna is also has a doctorate in music and teaches at university. And she's going to talk about that as well as we get into this. So here, please welcome to Coffee Breaks with Steve, Joanna Sochacka. Well, Joanna, thank you so much for taking the time to join us on Coffee Breaks with Steve. It's a pleasure to have you here.
It's a pleasure for me to be here with you.
Now, I need to ask, first of all, where are you speaking to us from?
Right now, I'm speaking from France. I'm in the south of France. So I'm actually very happy because it's very warm here, still a little bit like summertime. So yes, so I'm in France right now.
Now, you are originally from Poland, is that correct?
Yes. I was born and raised in Poland, and now I partially live there because I teach there at the university, but I'm based also in Germany.
I'm wondering if you could share just a little bit about your background, about your upbringing and how music first entered your life. I'm assuming that it wasn't something that just started recently, but you've grown up with music as a part of your life.
Yes. I think it's for every artist, for every pianist, is a bit different. But for me, it started when I felt that I want to play for the whole life or for the rest of the life. That was when I was 12, I think 12, and I made that decision. And since that time, I never doubt always I was sure, okay, that's the right decision, and I'm very happy about it. But I think it's the kind of passion, yes, when you feel you really want to do that, and after you cannot imagine doing something else. But in general, I started when I think I was 5 years old or 6 years old. It was a very interesting story because first my parents, they wanted me to play violin because they were sure that piano is too expensive and it's too hard to have it. Yes, at that time it wasn't so easy to have an instrument. So they wanted me to play violin because it's small. They thought it would be easier, and they took me to the music school. And the teacher said no. I mean that was the director of the school. She said no, she needs to play piano, not violin. And my parents said, okay, but we cannot afford piano. We don't care, so she will not play. Probably, yes. And then one, I think that was one person from our family. She called my parents and she said, oh, my son stopped to play piano. Lately, we have old piano. Maybe you want it. So they, so my parents said, okay. So if we have piano, she can play on piano. And this piano, yes, they brought it to our home. After it turned out that the piano was actually not so good one, because it was in the old. It was tuned like in the old system, so it wasn't the perfect piano. But after, when it started and when I started to play, also teachers, they insisted on my parents to make it for me, like to the best way, and so on. So that's why that's why at the end I had a new piano when I was around 9 years old, and I started to practice more also.
So you mentioned that you were enrolled in the music school. Did you receive private lessons at any point beyond what you were getting at school?
I know the system is a bit different in Poland, or we can say in Eastern Europe, because we don't we base on the public system of the music schools. So almost all the music schools are public. And actually mine, because I was from very small city in Poland, so my music school was like partially private and partially public, so not so a little bit mixed. But in general, we have a lot of public schools, and when the child wants to play, or you want to have this path for your kid, you have just the public school. You can sign there, and it's you don't pay anything. And I know in the many countries there is this private system. Yes? So private lessons, not so many subjects also, because we have in the music school you have a lot of subjects. So you have choir. Since you are very small, from the first year you have choir, you have some chamber music, you have theory lessons. So really a lot of this. It's very intense.
So you have fairly advanced degrees as well, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, some of the things besides your own piano playing that you do, but what degrees you have earned, awards that you have received, and some of the accomplishments. I know that sounds like we're asking you to brag about yourself, but I think it's important for people to know how accomplished you are in your art.
And that's also, I think, a part of in general in Poland and in Europe, how we achieve some degrees. Yes, because first of all, as musicians, we like to study a lot, to study for many years. So mostly not just one studies, but also some studies abroad, some additional studies. And also there's the thing that when you want to teach at the university, so you want to have the students, also you need to achieve, maybe not always, but mostly, especially in Poland, you need to achieve a doctorate. So you need to make also PhD studies after all the studies. So that was very long journey, because after first studies in Poland, in Krakow, I went to Switzerland, and at the same time I was studying PhD, so masters and PhD. And after I went to Austria, also to make another studies, and I finished PhD. I already started working, but all of that was happening. So really a lot of studies, many years of studies. I think like 11 years of studies after the school. And in school also that was very intense, because we have in Poland also two types of music schools. We have music schools which are combined with regular school, so you have everything all together, and you have the harder version, more difficult version when you have two schools, and then you are for the whole day you are busy. So I had this hard version, difficult version, and it was really exhausting because both schools were very demanding, and after the schools I needed also to travel, so for like competitions, master classes, so that was really intense time. And and for mostly for the whole life, yes, all the time studying. But I'm very thankful for that, because at some point I knew I want also to make so many studies, and not only because of my playing, but mostly because of my teaching, because I really felt I want to teach at the university. So that's why I started PhD, and after I also wanted to make a lot, or as much as I can, to be a good teacher.
I'm wondering which composers you enjoy playing most and feel the most challenged by in your own playing.
So Scriabin is definitely one of them. And I need to say that lately I know more which kind of music, which composers I really like to play, because when I was in this school and studies system, all the time there was something I needed to play. Yes, so of course also as a Polish pianist, we had Chopin all the time. Yes, for the whole life. So that's why I played a lot of Chopin. Of course, I needed to play a lot of Bach, a lot of Beethoven, a lot of Mozart, and so on, to build this. I played Schubert, I remember, like all the very classical composers. And after that was this point when I realized that I can build my repertoire from the pieces I really like, and from the pieces, from the composers I really like. So lately I found out that my favorite ones are Rachmaninov, we can say also Scriabin, and I like very much Liszt, and I don't know why I didn't play a lot of Liszt, maybe because of Chopin thing. So it was not enough time, yes, to play everything. And also I still, for example, I explore now new composers. Lately I found Albéniz, also when I was in Spain, and I think also it's something I really want to play. So it's still going, the process of making my repertoire from the pieces I really like and I want to perform.
As a professional artist, I'm wondering, to maintain the levels that you need to be at, I'm curious about how much time is spent in practice, how much time continues to be spent in some form of study to understand the new composers, the additional composers that you do want to be able to play. What is involved in maintaining that?
So I would say that like 20% is your personality and your character, and then 80% is work. So it's a little bit also for me like with sport, yes, but so we need the very skilled body to play the piano, especially like the whole body, because we see that pianist is playing with fingers, but the fingers are the end of the whole machine, yes, which is playing. So the whole body is involved in playing. A head as well, because we need to to think, to remember, to analyze, to have the structure, to have the interpretation. But so that's why it's a little bit like with sport for the body. So we need those hours to practice. So in general, it's hard work, and this special thing maybe which helps us to reach the audience. This is very, very personal. Yes, like one pianist will play another way, one will play with less feelings, one will play with more feelings. I'm kind of emotional person, so I think it's quite a lot of feelings happening when I'm playing. But yes, but this is something. One thing you cannot train is your feelings, is your emotions, and then also to be to I don't know to succeed. You need to have it organized. Yes, because when you have just emotions, you have a mess also. Yes, because always the structure of the piece need to be very. We need to think a lot how to make it to sound well. Yes, to sound the best. So that's very, very complex. Complex process how to make your interpretation, how to play, that's I think for every person it's also different.
So we're going to take just a moment. We've been talking about your art, and we want to take just a moment to share with our audience just a little bit of what that looks and sounds like. And so this is just a little portion of Joanna's piano skills. You mentioned before earning your PhD so that you could teach at university, and that is a part of your life and part of your career. What can you talk a little bit about what led you to want to not only be a performing artist, a performing pianist, but to also be an instructor and to be able to teach others?
So this is my I can say biggest passion to teach others, and that was because, as I told you before, that the piano playing is a very complex thing. It's very, very complicated. It seems to be easy, but it's not. It involves also psychological issues. Yes, like many things we need to know, we need to make to be successful. And when I realized that, when I was, I don't know, around 19 years old, I realized how important is to have a good teacher. Because when you are young, you just trust anyone. You just trust people who are older, yes, who are teaching you and so on. And if the person is not right, if the person doesn't know exactly how to teach and how to train a professional pianist, because this is the important thing, how to train professional pianist, then it can be really devastating for the whole life. Because when we have young person, let's say from 13 to 20, 21, 22, when we have this young person, and the young person has a dream to play the piano, this dream can be destroyed by a wrong teacher.
Yes.
It can be destroyed. And when I realized that, and I realized that it's also not so easy to find a good teacher, to find a person who is a good, who will teach you technique, who will teach you how to deal with performing, how like all the things. Also, the very important thing is how to play. Yes, so that's also not so obvious. Like for sometimes, yes, how to play, how to use the body, how to plan repertoire, and so on. So when I realized how complicated it is and how hard to is how hard it is to find a good teacher, I decided I want to become one, and after to help people to not go through the hard I don't know hard situations, to have a good teacher, to have a possibility to make dreams come true. So about piano playing. So that's long. That was my. I felt it at that time, but still I'm processing it. Yes, I'm learning, but it's for me also. It's like development for the whole life. Yes, to have this knowledge is it's also very complicated. Yes, how to you need to have basics. You need to have basic knowledge, but after you need to also look at every student, at every pupil differently, because everyone is different. So that's also, I think it's a very important job. It's important to be a teacher, and yeah, that was my motivation, and I hope in general we will have more and more passionate and great teachers, because after they can save lives of young people.
Absolutely. Joanna, as we wrap this up today, where can people find information about you, your recorded music? Where can they see the schedule of performances and tours that you may have coming up?
So of course, I invite you all to follow my social media. I'm trying to put there most of the informations. Also about the upcoming projects, there are some informations on my website. But most current are social media. So I started very early social media, I think many years ago. 20, or no, maybe not 20, okay, but but many. Yes, and I'm also trying to post there regularly. So both, so my website, my Instagram, Facebook, and also I invite to listen to the music on Spotify, because lately I have an also very nice new collaboration with label Novus Pro Musica, and we are planning a lot of nice releases. Right now, we released an album with piano duo music, because also I'm playing solo, but also I'm playing a lot with my duo partner, Anna Miernik. She's also a pianist. So we met also to record this album, and it's now available on Spotify. There will be also a release with Philip Glass music, which I really like lately, and after some other releases. So also lately on Spotify, I saw there is a new option. You can also be informed about the concerts or events. So yeah, so I invite you all to follow all my social media platforms.
Joanna Sochacka, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here on Coffee Breaks with Steve. And thank you very much for what you do through your own artistry and through teaching others to bring classical music to a world that very much needs to hear it.
Thank you very much, and hope to meet you again at the concerts or here. Thank you very much for invitation.
All right. Fantastic conversation. I am, again, comments. I was trying to put a longer message in and somehow it got cut off. I love Joanna. I do. I think she is an amazing person. But what I was trying to say was I love, and I got it in there, but I love her approach, her attitude about, and her approach to teaching. You know, so many people who have had mixed experiences with good teachers and mentors, and some who were maybe not as capable of providing the right kind of instruction. Sometimes that can, it's something I think can inspire people to want to themselves provide a better opportunity for others. I agree. It would be great if Joanna was available to go live in the wrap up. But again, I have to honor her being in Europe, several hours ahead of us. It's already evening there, dinner hour. She may very well be having to get on to do other things. And I just do appreciate that she spent any time with us here at all. So thank you, Joanna. I do want to let everybody know, excuse me, what is coming up in the next few weeks. We've got quite a lineup actually going through the end of the year on Coffee Break. So here's just a little sample of what we have coming up in the coming weeks. You know, it's such an amazing privilege and opportunity to be here every week. You saw in that little preview that we are coming up on our 300th episode in by the end of this year. If we're able to stay on schedule, nothing interrupts our shows here. But just think about this from the standpoint of the fact that so many of you have been joining us around this virtual coffee table for all of this time. 6.5 years of Coffee Breaks with Steve programs that have now through today's was episode number 294. We're just 6 episodes away from 300 episodes, which I can't believe. 163 of our episodes have included guests such as Joanna Sochacka. And there have been 108 individuals, unique individuals, who have joined the conversation to be our guests. And that is such a huge, huge deal for me to know that that has taken place, continues to take place. And the other thing that is so humbling and so inspirational for me is that you're here and that you choose to join the conversation. And I am so thankful and appreciative of that. Thank you for letting this be a time when we do get together and we share our thoughts and we share our ideas and we share our questions and our perspectives. And with that, just a reminder that we can all do things that touch lives. Sometimes it's being here and exchanging the information that we do, exchanging the comments that we do. Sometimes it's learning to and new things and being inspired by people like Joanna and getting ideas about what we can be doing. I think about what Joanna Sochacka is doing to through her music to touch lives. I know how it moved me when I got to hear her live, and to think about what she is doing to teach a new generation, and what a huge impact that makes. So it's just a reminder as we wrap up today to remember that we all have the ability to do something. You may not be a virtuoso on the piano, but you can do things that touch lives. So please find a way to make a difference in your world this week. God bless you. Have a great week. We'll see you next time on Coffee Breaks with Steve.